such a wonderful introduction. I'm going to give a disclaimer immediately. I am not a pro. I'm not an authority on open door policy. I am, however, someone who's extremely transparent, and I can tell you what works for me. So let me just start by introducing myself. My name is Janet Brown Clayton. I'm an old head in a new job. Veronica so nicely stated that I and her mom were friends and that I've been a mentor. It's a polite way of saying I'm old. Because Veronica was a little, I think she was newborn when I met her. This is my 32nd year in education. When my birthday comes in April, I'll be 59 years old. I'm excited about that. And what I'm really excited about is an opportunity to talk with you. And I'm excited about this audience because I'm talking to you from a passion base that is founded in what my history has been. So when I speak to you about open door policy, it's steeped in what I remember that worked for me as a student. So my name is Janet Brown Clayton. I grew up in New Haven, Connecticut, born and raised. I grew up in the high-rise projects of Elm City, Elm Haven. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that. It was 5 high-rise project buildings that extended to 10 floors, and it was in a 1-mile radius. And our school was Winchester Community School. And in our projects lived predominantly Black, Hispanic, some whites who did not have the affluence that others did. But we learned a community from the moment we lived in those projects. We were a village because parents who couldn't afford daycare and who were home would take turns taking care of the neighbors' children. I went back to school and about to have some of you go, ooh, when we came home for lunch for an hour and then went back to school. Go ahead and say it, it's all right. And we would go home, so my mom did day work, so she went and cleaned houses. And I was the oldest of 6 children, and my sisters, and this is in my opinion, my sisters were tall and elegant, and then my other sister was very pretty, and then there was me. So this is my opinion though. So then I felt if I could be pretty or tall and elegant, I'd be smart. So I used to study the dictionary. And I practiced using words and then impressing people because I knew the definition of them or I'd used them correctly in context. So education was very important to me. My dad named me after the only 2 Black teachers he ever knew. My name is Janet Felicia. And my dad he went to the 8th grade. My mother graduated high school at 16, married my dad at 17, had me at 18, had all of us by the time she was 25, and then went to college and taught school for 40 years. So again, education was extremely important to me. So the reason I'm talking to you about the open door policy can be based in one word, steeped in one word, relationship. Nothing else you do with children, family, parents, nominees, extended family, nothing else you do matters unless you establish a relationship. Because it's a coined phrase, but it's the truth. Nobody cares what you know until they know you care. It matters not. So the open door policy for me, I'm the proud principal of Lincoln Bassett Community School. A school that's in turnaround phase. We're a part of the Commissioners Network. Currently, achievement is low. And when I say low, when we did our math benchmark just to check and see, you know, dipstick assessment, to see where my babies were, nobody in the building was proficient in math. Nobody was proficient in reading. So, and they had just come through a tumultuous year with a leader, a brand new leader. Before that year, there was a leader there that was there for 16 years. The neighborhood has undergone some transformations. Crime is high, violence is high. But the benefit I had of being appointed principal there And I'm going to say it and I'm not apologizing for what I say. I'm apologizing if I offend anybody's sensibilities. But the privilege I have of being at Lincoln Bassett School is because I believe I was ordained to be there. I believe that that's my ministry to be there. And the benefit I have also is in being an old head in a new position is I can look at a child. They can tell me your name. I'll say, do you know such and such and such? And they'll go, that's my auntie. I'm going to call. I pick up my cell phone and call. I said, listen, Shar, give me Ronnie's telephone number. I need to get this child's mind right. All right? Or a student walked in when I was assistant principal, I walked into the room and my principal said, and this was just last year, he said, Miss Clayton, we're trying to find this student and we have no numbers. He's sitting there real smug, you know, arm twisted on the chair. I said, what's your name? He said, such, and said the last name. I said, who is Rosalind to you? He said, I said, I asked you a question. Who is Rosalind to you? My aunt, this is my grandfather's sister. I said, oh, I said, I got it right here. I had somebody there in 10 minutes. He was a new student after that. So relationships work where prestige doesn't work, or who you know and they place you in a position doesn't work. All right, relationship works. So an open door policy for me, Lincoln Bassett Community School is a highly transient population. When school started, we had 358 students in August. October 26th, we had 328. Now it's December 5th, we have 369 students. So isn't that a great definition of transience? And we have, wait a minute, I wrote it down because I want to make sure I gave you the accurate. We have 191 homes that are single parent homes, which represents 63% of the familial population of our building. 110 of those homes are two-parent homes, and 7 of those homes, two-parent homes, are same-sex homes. I don't say that passing judgment. I say that because it's a reality today. And irrespective of what my sensibilities say, I have to be able to deal with my babies and create an environment that's safe and conducive for all students to attend and not feel ostracized or bullied. So an open door policy for me in a community where there was high distrust means that I had to debunk and demystify the school. I had to open the school so that parents could come in. So before school even started, we had a party with a purpose. And the party with a purpose was I solicited donations from community partnerships. I had a grill and hot dogs and hamburgers and chips and drinks. We had a DJ. We had a massive wobble line so that the children would see us as humans. So what I did is, because they came in and they took a tour of the school, because we had the school newly painted, you know, no major renovations were done, trust me. But we had a fresh coat of paint put on. We put up pictures. And here's why. If I'm inviting you to my house, don't you want to know that I'm prepared for you? You don't want to look like you're an accidental visitor, and you don't want to be treated like one. I needed my children to know that we prepared for you. We knew you were coming, so we spruced up. We cleaned up. So the students came in, the parents came in, they went through visits, they looked at the classrooms and they were amazed. The other thing that I did, and I'm not saying this to brag, but as a turnaround school, I had the option of retaining the staff or getting new staff. I chose to change 75% of my staff. So that meant I had all new teachers. And you know that the culture and climate of the school is made up of different personalities, different ideologies, different educational levels, you know, all of that. So then the first thing I had to do to create this open door policy was have a week-long professional development with my staff. My population is majorly black, 85% black, 10% Hispanic, 5% other. My staff does not look like that. And so what I had to do was encourage a trust climate of courageous conversations. So what I did initially was to do the activity, the color line, which is when you ask 26 pre-prescribed questions and everybody answers in their own truths. And you're scored 0, 3, or 5. And when you add it up at the end of that activity, and everybody lines themselves up according to what the score is, 100% of the time, you're going to see the hue of the people on the line go from bright light to dark, because they're speaking their truths about what their experiences have been. So what that did was to create a conversation among my staff where we decided that we would choose truth over artificial harmony. We're going to talk about it, and we're going to be transparent, and race is not going to be a taboo subject in our school. So, having done that, then my teachers could feel comfortable talking to parents who didn't look like them. You understand what I'm saying? So I had to create that atmosphere first and demystify the fact and deal with their truths and not judge my staff because of their truths that all blacks are not gangsters. All black families don't just come from a single parent home. All black children don't come from a single parent home. So then the other thing I had to have them understand is that when parents give us their children, they give us the best they have. It doesn't have to be what you consider the best, but it's the best they have. And so you can never go to a parent and start listing everything that's wrong with their child. So the first 30 days of school, my teachers had to have made phone contact with every student in the room. Because I didn't want the first time the parent talked to the teacher was because something was wrong. So what that did was it helped to start to demystify, because you know our parents come with their preconceived notions about school based on their experiences. You understand what I'm saying? They already think, either they had a positive experience or negative, and their experience is going to influence their child. So a lot of my parents just had a distrust. It didn't matter what I said, I didn't have a voice, it doesn't matter what I do, you're not going to listen to me anyway. So the open door policy for me is that they come into the office and I change my office staff. I needed somebody to say, hi, how are you doing? What can I do for you? So what that did was it just talked the fire out. And, you know, I'm sorry. It just calmed their nerves. I went old school, Veronica. The initial contact would set the tone for my meeting with them. So when my parents come in and they're you all know what I mean, right? The first thing I would always do is I always take a chance, I always gamble. I come up here and say, I know you're not in my office talking like that. Because 8 times out of 10, it would be somebody who knew me. Yeah. So either they knew me from Brown or Clayton. And so when I came out, and I said, who is out here making all this noise? Oh man, Miss Clayton, you know. I said, I know you come here with all that noise. I said, you might be upset, but there's a better way of handling it. And you model the expectation for my children. If my child came in here talking like that, what would you do? I said, come on, we can talk about it in my office. So take whatever is going on outside in my office. And then they can spout off all they want. They can come in, they can call me, I would guarantee them. And so even if they couldn't come in, I would guarantee them that I'd be back to them within 24 hours. All right? So for all of you who are community relations specialists, parent educators, or whatever, your word is your bond. Don't make a promise to these parents you can't keep. Give yourself a cushion. Say to them, if I don't get back to you by the end of this day, give me an additional 24 hours, and then keep your word. All right? An open door policy is sort of, it's not contraindicated, but I have an open door policy at school, but I keep my classroom doors locked. Why? Come on, talk to me. I don't want anybody just walking in and disrupting instruction in my classroom. Because if you happen to walk in, you push the buzzer, and you walk in and you got a head full of steam, and you're going to go down to a classroom, you won't get in. So you'll still have to come back by me. All right? So an open door policy means that they're always going to have someone who will hear them. Does it mean that when they come in the door, I can see them immediately? No, it doesn't. But what I practice doing is my secretary calls back and says, Miss Clayton, and I was in the middle of something yesterday, I'm a serious crisis. Miss Clayton, so-and-so is out here and they want to talk to you. I said, ask them if they can give me 15 minutes or if I can call them back. If they can give me 15 minutes and wait, I will see them. All right? So I'm trying, okay, I got a few more minutes. Let me do this real quick. I talked about that. Okay. It is extremely important, and I'm saying this for emphasis, for parents to know that we are very keen to ensure that the communication between home and school is maintained, that it's a partnership and not an adversarial relationship. All right? So, open door also means that in the morning, I'm not in my office taking phone calls or anything like that. If you ever come into my school in the morning, and this helps to demystify and debunk the myth of school, we have, because my population is 55% male, black male, every black man I have in school, I have live up in front. All right? And then I'm standing at the door and I'm holding the door. Good morning, how are you doing? And the same thing continues all the way. If they're going right or if they're going left, it continues in the hallway. Why? Because I want every parent that walks their child to school to see how their child is greeted. To know that we care about your children and they're coming into a safe environment. So open door is more than just somebody coming in anytime they want to. Open door is a culture. One that engages and encourages continued engagement. So on my staff, my leadership staff comprises of myself, my assistant principal, Jenny Clarino, my literacy coach, Regina Carini, my math coach, Rolanda Booker. I have a school operations officer who is Stephanie Skiba. The school operations officer takes care of anything scheduling and all facilities. So anybody that knows a principal in here, you know how big that is. Who's the principal? You know that's big, isn't it? Okay. Then I have a climate specialist that helps keep the barometer of the climate. And so having an open door policy, the parents can come in and I have a way of doing a dipstick assessment daily and continuously. All right? So the benefits of an open door policy, it encourages effective communication between us and the parents. It also encourages effective communication between me and my teachers. Because they'll come and they'll stand at the door and wait. And sometimes in my mind I'm going, they see me talking to somebody. And then the other side says, well, you can't have your cake and eat it too. So I let them stand and wait. Okay, I let them stand and wait. And you can hear them outside playing. I'm next in line. You can't cut line. These are my adults. Okay? But I need people to be able to be comfortable so that I can always get truth from them. Because I can do something I can do something about what I know about. But what I say to them consistently is that you acquiesce by silence. If you don't say anything, that means you're good with it. All right? It encourages healthy discussions. It enables students, teachers, parents to seek my help and freely discuss things with me for better clarity. And at this point, I've been there since August. At this point, I have enough of a relationship with my teachers and my parents that I can say to them, and some of my leadership staff, it's 7 of us, and it's only 2 blacks, myself and my math coach, but we talk about race and the impact it has on our relationships, our children's relationship, and how they continue to interact with us. So what I would need to say to you, parent communicators, parent educators, community relations people, whatever your demographics are, take that into consideration and work from their truth. Make certain you know everything about your demographics, because your knowing that says to them that they're important. It's important enough for you to understand. It's important enough for you to know. So, and I'm going to wrap it up. It's 9:28. 2 minutes. I can wrap it up in 2 minutes.
No.
So, pardon me? Oh, okay. The other thing is, I get to know what the needs of my community are. All right? We gave out 45 turkey baskets. Our partners worked with us to do that. For Christmas, listen, I have teachers, and I don't do what we're doing at Lincoln Bassett by myself. So I need to push a pause button. I need to applaud every community relations person, every parent engagement person, every person whose job it is to bring the community in and to engage them with parents. And I need to applaud you because everything you do is not quantifiable. Okay, and I know that. I'm especially aware of that because I work with the Commissioners Network. And I'm a tough old bird. I'll tell them in a minute. You can't measure that. You can't measure that. You cannot put that on a continuum, and you can't graph relationship. But what you have to do is make sure it's there, because you know when it'll matter? When it's time for the climate surveys. All right? And no matter what's going on in your building, when the climate survey says, I'm comfortable coming into my classroom, I feel welcome when I come into the school. I trust my administrators. Do you understand what I'm saying? You have a lot to do with that. The other thing I want to empower you to do is to speak up to your principal. I need to repeat that. Speak up to your principal, because what you do is going to reflect on them, and what they don't do is going to reflect on you. Y'all say amen. It's the truth. So it has to be a symbiotic relationship. It has to be. Because what each of you do affects and impacts what the other does. All right? I think I'm going to stop, because I can keep going, but I'm going to stop. Because what I was hoping, and I didn't say this, is that if you had questions you wanted to ask, you could write them down on, because I was asking about a parking lot, you know. But if you have any questions about anything I've said, or if you have a query about a situation that you have that you're trying to work out in your school community, or that you want to have to impact your culture, let's talk. If you have any questions, anything you'd like to ask. Yes.
In our school, we have a tough time getting parents to our nighttime, we call them PAC meetings, Parent Advisory Committee. It's an open forum. And so what I did this year is, because the principal said it's not working, PTO's not working, it's too clicky, these people complain. I'm not about complaining. So we established these PAC meetings. You know, they've never had a good showing of parents. You know, I have monthly speakers, like last month we had, I had a friend of mine who's a family therapist come in and talk to, we have teachers, we invite teachers too, come in and talk about stress with the kids, so things that relate to parents, but we just don't get a good turnout on all these because it's nighttime, parents don't care. We have over 900 families that are reaching out to.
Here's what I'm going to suggest
And I
to you.
even serve food.
Here's what I'm going to suggest to you. Don't, and you didn't say this, but I'm saying this for everybody to hear. Don't assume that absence denotes lack of concern. You have parents that work 2 or 3 jobs. You have single parents that have to do it by hook or crook. What you might want to try is having the same thing at 2 different times during the day. One at night, one during the day. So that people who work at night and can't come at night can come during the day. What that says is I care enough to arrange my schedule to meet your needs. So let me give you an example. When we had our party with a purpose, we had a lot of people come. We started doing monthly meetings for, our behavioral system is called SOAR, because our mascot is the eagle. And so our motto is Lincoln Bassett Community School, where eagles soar and failure is not an option. So the SOAR, the acronym SOAR, S for safety, O is for on task, A is accountability for my actions, and R, respect for myself and others. So we do a SOAR assembly every month where students are celebrated. They wear the uniform every day. If they soar every day, if they are in school every day, we celebrate everything that we want to replicate. All right. So how that relates to you is we call parents and let them know your child is receiving this award because they come to school every day, which also addresses multiple intelligences because everybody's not an A student, right? So we can celebrate what they can do, which then encourages them to try harder. It's a cyclical. So on our first activity, our first nighttime activity, with only popcorn and punch, we have before school programming where students can come in at 7, school starts at 8:30. We have after school programming for 3 to 6. And it rained that night. We had a packed house. I got pictures. I can prove it to you. We had a packed house. And what it said to us is that our parents were committed to being there. In the rain, no food except popcorn and punch. No food except popcorn and punch. So to answer your question, have it there, have it more than one time a day. Replicate it in the morning or in the afternoon, or in the afternoon and then evening. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let the parents know we're concerned about your inability to attend in the evening, so we have an alternate. Okay? Any other questions while I find this picture?
May I say that involvement and engagement are 2 different things. You don't want
They can't hear you. You need to speak louder.
involvement and engagement are 2 different things. You want an engaged parent. You don't want an involved parent. It's okay to have an involved parent, but what happens with an engagement is that you have a committed parent. So every time you post something, that parent is committed to your school and there will be there. If you have an involvement parent, they're not committed. They're like, I'm involved, but not committed. You want to build commitment within your school. And the other thing is about measurement. Just because a parent is not there does not mean that they're not engaged. How are we measuring engagement in our schools? Are we measuring engagement because of the attendance of every parent that comes to our events? Or are we measuring our engagement in another piece?
Excellent statement. Here's the picture of, anyways, I'll walk around. This is our cafeteria on that night. Rain, No food except popcorn and punch. I have to say that again. And parents brought their children out. And what we had was math bingo. And it was packed. Last night, I told you I moved. Okay. Last night we had Dad's Night Out, where dad, uncle, any male who's important in the life of that child would bring them out and they could watch the Polar Express, and the gang of dads would do 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. We had a packed house, and all we served was hot chocolate and gingerbread cookies. All right? So the other thing I should say to you is my parent educator, his office is on the first floor right near the door. Every parent that comes in, he grabs and just starts talking. He can find out that this is a single parent whose child's father might not be involved. He gets permission from the mother to contact the father, and does. And we have fathers that show up. All right? We have a Title I coordinator who is constantly beating the bricks, looking for ways to get partnerships to donate to our school. We are partners with Connecticut Center for Arts and Technology. We're partners with the Boys and Girls Club. We're partners with 4-H. We're partners with a dance school. We're partners with Benetau Ballet and the Lynx. We have a lot of people who see what we're doing and they want to become partners. So I don't try to do it all myself because I don't want to lose partners, but then I don't want to have a whole lot to micromanage, so then I let my school operations officer do that. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
Just because you're on the point about parent involvement, I'm actually the only affiliation I have with schools as I am as a parent. I have 2 in middle school, 1 in elementary school. The elementary school my youngest goes to, we're trying to get an active PTO going. There's kind of been dormant for a few years, and we're utilizing the already involved parents. We send an email out whenever there's going to be a PTO meeting, and we say, on this date and time, show up, we're going to discuss this. And then what happens is the next day at dismissal, myself and 1 or 2 of the other parents who are involved will congregate in the schoolyard, and we go personally touching base with the parents, because a lot of times the parents say, oh, I couldn't make it, I don't want to come in 2 days late and see if there's anything that can be done. They must already have jobs assigned to everybody, and it's that, they're not there for that first meeting. It's harder to go to the second. Then it's hard to go to the third. Now we're at the 4th meeting. Oh, there's no point in me showing up. They already have everything. Their ducks are already in a line. So what we do is we just use the parents who are already involved, and we send them out and we talk to their parents and let them know, hey, at this meeting we discussed this. At this, I know you do this for a hobby. This might be a great idea. And when you ask them, when they're invited, if you just send a general invitation, it's maybe. When you go to the person and say, hey, we'd like for you to come. This might be something you're interested in. We can get a better show of parents because they feel that they're honestly welcome. Because even being an involved mom, sometimes going into school, you do feel a little alienated, and you don't always feel welcome, and it's hard to find when it's appropriate to be there and when it's not appropriate. So I think just being very vocal and telling the parents, look, we need people here for this. Don't send out a newsletter. Have somebody in the schoolyard shaking hands. Because a lot of parents, once they see that it's fun, it's not all work, and your kids benefit so much, they get interested. Then they start showing, and then a lot of times, once you get the parents on those committees, it's really hard for them to turn around and walk away. It's just getting them there in the first place.
Hi, just 2 very quick things, and I'm speaking from a parent perspective. I just want to underscore very briefly that often PTOs are seen by other parents as cliques. So all the things that you talked about are hugely important, because the people do feel those are the educated ones, or they're the connected ones, or they don't really want us. So it's really important to do that. And second, it may be obvious, but I feel remiss if I didn't say it. Ask parents what they want to come out for.
I actually started, because my position's new and it's come from the Title I funds. What I do and what I establish is I do a survey after every meeting and get their feedback, so I know, and I cater to them. So just what you're saying, and we've done that a lot. So I think that's important too, is surveying parents. I send out a monthly survey to parents, and I they email me like, oh my God, love the, so yeah, I am getting the feedback, and it's the first time the school has done this, so they're seeing now an increase of parent feedback, which I think is very important. But the other challenge that I have too is creating those partnerships. I mean, I'm very good at it, but like for us, I'm a middle school and a high school, so I'm in the point of trying to create internships and just establishing colleges and just reaching out to others. So I mean, that's another area that as a community outreach person that I struggle with. It's a challenge. You know, you talk about 4-H and center, but when you ask people, they're like, what do you want? What are you looking for? What kind of partnerships? I'm like, anything you want to give me. Donations, time, mentors.
What I would suggest is, as opposed to saying anything you want to give me, know what you want, so that you can direct them when they ask.
Okay.
Because because if you don't have direction when you engage them or when you bring them in, then they're going to soon lose interest because they've got to come in, they want to support, and then they got to figure out what to do too. So have a function in mind for what you'd like them to do. And you both brought up a very important point. The other thing we had done was we surveyed the parents for what they wanted. And then we looked at what was going on in our community, high crime level, high drug use. And so I hand wrote the wording for the sign on my building. You know, we have the drug-free zone sign, but then the other sign I wrote was, through these doors into the future of this community, you can help us by curbing your dogs, picking up your trash, and maintaining the innocence of our children. That was the nicest way I could figure of saying it. My babies don't need to know what you do on the weekend. And it's had an impact. I walk in the morning, and I'm being honest and transparent, and it doesn't sound pretty, but there's not urine in the corner anymore. All right? Even the district is taking note. They start cleaning up the leaves. Okay? Any other questions? Any thoughts? Anything you'd like to share? Yes, ma'am.
I don't have a question. I just have a comment. Everything that I hear you say goes exactly back to what you said. It's rooted in relationships. There's no single way you can step out of your office and say, I was using that language in my office without having that established relationship first, or the reputation of the relationship. Because if the wrong person, the wrong relationship comes out and does the same thing, you're going to get someone that's going to meet that based on that.
That's why I said the first thing I said was relationship. And to that point, I had a parent one time where I was saying that they were going to do things a certain way, and this one parent was determined to do it another way. The other thing is you can't show them fear. Can't show fear. Because I'm 5'10" in my stocking feet. I'm 6'2" if I wear 3-inch heels. So I bend down when I talk to the children, but I stand erect when I talk to the parents. And then if I know I'm going to have a meeting that I really want to, I wear my heels. All right? So I had a parent, and I was bending down talking to a child, and a parent was going to go where she wanted to go. Another parent, I didn't even have to straighten up. Another parent said, baby, I would not advise you to do that. I didn't even have to stop what I was doing. And the way she said it, the woman stood up, backed up, and kept her mouth shut. Because I've been blessed enough to be able to bluff and not have to, go at it. Yeah. Because I had a parent, a male parent, stand up to me over my desk. And I had a glass globe right here. I put my hand on that glass globe and I stood up back at him. I said, don't you let this suit fool you. And he's standing here and I stood there. I had my hand on that globe. And he said, and he sat back down, but I stayed there. Because if y'all ever read about a principal clocking a parent. I've never had to do it. 32 years, I've never had to do it. but it helps that they think I would. You know? And so I just want you to know that the open door doesn't come without challenges. I lament to my director, you know, because as a principal, I'm the instructional lead of the building. I don't get into classrooms in the course of the day. And I said, I do get in them, but to be perfectly transparent, I might be, in the course of 5 days, I might get into 5 classrooms, which to me is a problem. But what I said to my director is, I said, I'm doing PR all day long, every day. She says, but Janet, that's what's needed. Because I'm building a relationship with the community. This is my first year there. So then next year I'll be able to say to parents, listen, I'm going to have office hours. I'll have principal's night out twice a month, but you can't come in to see me until after 3. You understand? I'll be able to do that next year. But building relationship takes work. And what I can tell you about that is, and it's a scripture, be not weary in well-doing, for in due season you will reap if you faint not. When you think it's not mattering, keep doing it. Keep working on the relationship. And you'd be so surprised. The most adversarial parent can be turned when they see that you genuinely care and that they're not running you away. All right? I'm going to stop talking, and I'm going to turn it back over to Veronica. Oh, there's Judith, so that you guys can do whatever you need to do. I thank you for entrusting the cafe to me today.
Thank you.
And thank you for your